Welcome back. I'm Tyler, you're watching Scarfing Scarves, and welcome to the 12th installment of Last Week Lolita News. At the top of the segment, Angelic Pretty had an unsanctioned devil baby with Metamorphose to produce what appears to be a Franken-fraternal twin to Dolly Cat. The series is to be so originally named Princess Cat, and outside of looking like the bastard child of the brand that brought us such works of art as Exotic Poaching meets Hitchhiking Hooker, and the brand most known for injecting diabetes directly into your eyes, Princess Cat is likely poised to end in a bloodbath so vicious, I can't even think of a single catfight joke that would cover it, without seeming too trite in the wake of the wallets soon to meet their end for reasons someone who would drown themselves in pink if you gave them half the chance would never understand. That is, unless I'm wrong, the entirety of this community comes to their senses, and someone does me the favor of building me a time machine to take me back to the glorious days of 2010 Sweet. Except, please don't, LiveJournal can stay dead, and anyone who tries to make me go back will have to pry my Daydream Carnival out of my cold, dead hands. Keep your cat's tea party, I will fight you for my ponies. Of course, the AP releases don't end there, and the brand has done us the favor of releasing several pictures of upcoming prints to include Milky Swan, Cirque de l'Etoile, Sweet Jelly Girl, Otome Dot, Garden of Eden, another freaking chocolate print, and what happens when AP takes two previously successful print concepts and smushes them together until they fuck. Speaking of boycotts that disappear as soon as someone waves the barest bit of brand in their face, professional vanishing act Pumpkin Cat has gotten ahead of the cross-ridden curve with a print that makes it almost worth it to purchase from a shopping service that may or may not get me shanked in customs. The print goes by the name Dragon and Treasure Series. I have an unbalanced affection for it for reasons totally unrelated to Quest for Camelot, and it features dragons so nostalgically cute, I'm doing my utmost not to bury myself in a pile of VHS tapes and have a good cry. This print is adorable, they better actually finish it, and I can only hope a larger brand will take half a break from pumping out chocolate chess cat nightmares to give these chubby dragons half a chance. Except BTSSB. They'll paint it smog green, give it an office cut, and deliver unto us a sight so oddly faded and overly shiny it may as well have been printed on several piles of moistened tarps. In a swamp. During a gas leak. In the midst of a hurricane. Don't do it, baby! Moving on to news that might have been productive but has instead been taken over by the type of people who spend simultaneously too much time on the internet and understand too little of how it works. Ruffle Chat Uncensored became the unfortunate portal for an indignity so bloated and long it gave even my sentence structure a run for its money. The 400+ comment storm began with one poster's misguided effort to clear another party's name of thievery via a video on YouTube. No one told them that the average attention span doesn't usually prevail over 44 minutes of ums, ahs, and teacups, and everyone involved would have been far better off if the two women who made it took out the script they were reading off of, crumpled it up, and sent it straight to the moon. To sum up just what kind of mental deficit it takes to think that any of this was remotely appropriate as a method for clearing a minor's name, we turn towards Last Week Lolita News' next special segment, in which I give you the broad strokes, you try to keep your faith in humanity, and everyone involved reconsiders their community's age requirements in a move so drastic there may soon be a frilly market for fake IDs. Welcome to The Full Story, Stupidity in the Lolita Community. For reasons related to not giving out the personal information of a minor on the internet, I'm not going to be mentioning names. No real faces will be shown, and anyone after links will be better off blowing a search engine before asking me for the favor. I'd recommend Jeeves for those looking for a partner with experience. So what triggered the uproar this time? For the sake of basic understanding, this dumpster fire began with the alleged theft of a ring and some belladonna wrist cuffs. The person accused of the act is a minor, and because the Lolita community has a twist in their petticoat over everything from art theft to mismatched pinks, the news of this information went over about as well as one could expect from dumping a couple of drumsticks into a pit of starving piranhas. Which is to say, stealing is frowned on, certain subtle reminders of the incident were left on her photo in case she forgot, and the entirety of this drama was set to die off within the week if no one did anything more complicated than absolutely nothing at all. This proposition was apparently too difficult for the moderators of the community she is a part of. For rather than wait out the usual attention span of a concussed gerbil that the Lolita community is famous for, they released a 44-minute video in an attempt to defend her. This dragged the entire community front and center to their laborious nonsense, and anyone who made it through the entire thing should be reimbursed for time. However, boring is not the only sin here. Though it would please me to say there weren't penalties above that of subjecting your audience to looking at nothing but a picture of teacups for 22 minutes, The moderator's initial cause to stop the bullying of this particular minor went to the wayside as it became abundantly clear they had absolutely no idea what they were doing. For while the video is the ungainly compilation of poor production skills and petty calm drama, they managed to let slip some details that anyone who quote-unquote works with children should know damn well better than to release to the public at large. This was of course between posting uncensored screen caps from supposedly closed Facebook communities and bitching about their sister com like it was remotely relevant to the situation. There is a reason I didn't give out identifying info on this girl in one of my previous videos. Sure, you could say it was because reporting on a minor's identity when they've been accused of criminal activity is kind of illegal, but more importantly, the gag rule provides a shield for those of a maturity too undeveloped to fairly withstand the adult implications of a publicly reported crime. This is not even to mention the vulnerability of minors should their information be compromised, and anyone with the barest bit of sense knows that the last thing you should do to prevent harassment would be to plaster someone's information across the sky. Anyone, it would seem, except these two. For somewhere in between accusing me of encouraging the bullying of this girl and boring the hell out of the entire community with their sanctimonious nonsense, they managed to release this girl's first and last name, age, grade, city, favorite anime convention, assurance that she's there every year, name of the vendor she allegedly stole from, exact date the incident happened, first name of her best friend, the Facebook group she's a part of, with the bonus that she moderates said group, and the admittance that she's dealing with a mental illness that could be easily used to fine-tune her harassment to straitjacket levels of insanity. Because all of this definitely won't narrow down the search for anyone hoping to push this girl over the edge, and the real villains here are the people who didn't hire a skywriter to broadcast her telephone number to the tri-state area. This video was supposed to prevent further harassment of this girl, and yet outside of painting a big red X on her forehead and handing out maps to her exact location, I can't think of anything more antithetical to their cause. Seriously, I can't even come up with a joke here, other than the fact that they asked me to take down my video because, and I quote, they hope I agree that a child's life is worth more than a $3 ring and a pair of belladonna wrist cuffs. Thanks for not calling me a murderer. I'm sure the kid is far better off now that you've given the online community enough info to bully her into the next dimension, which is now a very real possibility because someone took it upon themselves to release her personal information to the entire internet. God, I need some tea. Look, I have no problems with the supposed original intention behind this video. What I do have a problem with is mishandling the information of a minor to the extent that any yuck with a cheap smartphone and half a bar of Wi-Fi can access their info online. You know this is the same place shared with the types of people that like to call SWAT teams for the high crime of beating them at Call of Duty, right? The fact that they name drop behind the bows as if it's the spawn of Satan tells me that they don't. And I'd love to know where the parents were when two women several times their daughter's age decided to broadcast her information into the kind of space that would sooner describe the exact way they would like you to fuck a porcupine than to listen to a single word you have to say. The internet is a much darker place than these two are aware. Their video has made things 10 times worse. And now, instead of fading into the distant memory of the replica debate versus whether or not Mr. Yan is plotting to install tracking devices into Bodyline's shoes, they've made her a bigger target for bullying than ever before. Because that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you for watching Last Week Lolita News, and be sure to tune in next week when we tackle the tough questions like, what is irony? Should you post your social security number online? And how long do we have to wait before some grimy creep sees this girl's information, her parents get wind of the two women who published it, and the entire shebang goes up in flames via a live feed on Channel 7 News. More on whether or not we'll see them all on Jerry Springer next time on Last Week Lolita News. This has been Tyler. You've been watching Scarfing Scarves, and I'll catch you next time. Hey there, thanks for sticking around to the bitter end. I'd like to send a special thank you to my patrons whose support keeps me from going south on someone with the business end of a macaron. And should you like to hand over fistfuls of Pocky money to the series, buy me a cup of coffee, or put your money somewhere that's not going to overly expensive figurines, head over to patreon.com/lastweeklolita news. Thanks again, guys, and I'll catch you next time on Last Week Lolita News.